There we go. Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I am with the one and only Dyna Edyne. I had to make sure that I got the name right because I don't even need to say it. My fans already know how many times I make mistakes on the show. But Dyna Edyne came through. Obviously, the one and the only. And you've been dropping some fantastic music. You've got your Soft Era EP, which just came out this year, and then you've also got the Verbalize single that came out as well. And then there's so many performances. Major Stage did your Dome performance as well. You've been promoting that, and that is really, really good. So for anyone who hasn't checked that out, that was also live, which I was like, it's one thing to do it in a studio, it's another thing to be able to perform it live. So for anyone who hasn't checked that out, I highly recommend. But it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, how was it performing live? Like, I'm sure you've performed that song so many times. It is like one of your mainstays in terms of just something that hit the fans sonically. It's so pleasant to listen to. Like, I was listening to it this morning and I was just like, it's just so nice to have like around. But how is it in terms of the difference between performing it live versus recording it and taking the time that you need to like get it perfect, so to speak?
I would definitely say performing it live is always a treat because you kind of don't know if you're gonna sing it exactly like the recording. For me, I like to just go with the flow and the vibe that I'm currently in when I'm singing it live. So, uh, and I perform a lot, so it's always fun to kind of put a twist on my current songs. But with the dome, that's my register. That's like vocally it's my register, it's my safe space, those notes that I hit in the dome. So it's not even the hardest songs to perform for me.
Okay, so what song is the hardest to perform?
Little Brown Girl, it's a track that first comes to mind. It is off of my EP I released in 2021 called Mahogany. And that one has like, higher notes, lower notes, it's kind of all over the place musically, and adds more of a Caribbean vibe to it, which I really like.
See, it's weird to me. Like now that you express it and be like, I have songs that I feel super comfortable performing and songs that are like tougher. Like
Yeah.
I never thought about that as like an artist because I just assume like every song is the same in the sense of it's your song, you recorded it, you know it. But that obviously makes sense that there are just some songs which like you pushed further, and then obviously doing it live in one shot is just way harder.
Yeah, I mean, you still just gotta give it all you got when you're on the spot. Like, there's a few songs that are definitely easier to tackle for sure.
Do you find that like doing it live and when it doesn't go the exact same way, like it's never going to be the exact version of like the
No,
studio session? Like, do you
no,
like the variation in that like almost every performance is slightly different?
I definitely like that variation. I feel like it's for me, it's an audience experience. It's a release for me in a way. So I might want to sing this part a little quicker. I might want to put a riff here. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely gives you the freedom to play with it a bit more, especially if you recorded the track with space to do that for performing. So I like to give my, I don't like to do too much on my recording because I know once I'm on stage, I have breathing room to have some fun. So.
Yeah. See, all things I never would have thought of as an
Yeah.
artist. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess you take it in consideration when you put the time in.
because I think it definitely changes once you become an active live performer. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
definitely artists who don't perform live very often, and then obviously you perform live a lot. So for you to be like, okay, I'm recording this, and then how would it go live is completely different mindset to be in.
100%. And then, with live performances, sometimes it's a live band, sometimes I'm with a guitarist, or, it's just different instrumentation that are taking the lead, and it's a completely different sound now. So that's my favorite. that's my favorite type of performance is with instruments for sure.
Yeah. It must be strange, like if that's your favorite, but then you kind of have to like record and do EPs and like do the studio stuff. Like, does it,
Yeah.
how is the balance of like, because you also make music videos, which are really cool as well. And like, how is it in terms of finding the balance of doing the live performance versus doing all the stuff privately and like organizing that side of things?
When it comes to structuring and recording a song, it's definitely, you can pace yourself a bit more compared to live performing and kind of, making sure all the instrumentation is on point with your track or rehearsing so that the 20 minutes you have on stage is nailed. It's like you rehearse for weeks and then when you perform, it's gone. It's like that. So I definitely say, I can appreciate both processes. I think that when it comes to recording a song, I like the fact that I can listen to it 100 times and then I know, okay, I want this here. I don't like how this sounds anymore. Tell the engineer to do it like this. It gives me the director seat. So um, I think with live performing, it's just a whole different lane where you're just, you're releasing whatever you're going through in that moment. You're releasing it there on the stage. So it's like it's more of a present experience with the live performance. You're more present in a way.
It's like therapy. Like you just
Yes,
want to get
it
out.
is therapy, 100%.
Yeah, I would honestly, I think one of the hardest things about doing a podcast, and when you said you listen to the same song hundreds of times, that would drive me crazy. Like I struggle to re-listen to my own episodes just because it's just something you have to do. You kind of get used to it, but like even still, I'm like, oh, you said that so badly. Like you're just the self critic is definitely a huge part of it. So
Oh yeah.
that this is way better. This is like the fun part for me. And then listening back and editing is like the worst part. So when you said listening to the same song 100 times, no wonder,
Yeah.
hey, sound engineer, you're going to have to remove this, change that. Like it would just drive me crazy.
Yeah, trust me. So by the time the song is out, I'm not the one listening to it. Like I'm not the artist that's listening to it again. When the song is out, it's for the world. Like I already heard it 1,000 times. So trust me, I get it.
Yeah, I'm the same. Once it's out in the ether, I never
Yeah.
want to hear it again. I don't even like talking about it, to be honest. It feels weird.
Yeah.
It's like I already did all the work, and then like you're not even thinking about that one anymore because you've moved on to your next piece, and then everyone's
100%.
talking about it, and you're like, my mind is like so much further along the track, and I've been working on other stuff, so it's a weird
Yeah.
place to be taken back to.
100%. I think that you're already on the next thing. Like I'm right here with you. It's just
How are
been
your
there, done.
fans, by the way? Like, when is it like, do you see a difference between them online versus them live?
Yeah, to me, it's been a really growing experience because I actually just moved to New York. So I'm fresh
Congratulations.
off Brooklyn. Thank you. I'm 3 months in now. And, I've been in Florida. I'm born and raised in Miami. But for whatever reason, my analytics have always been the highest in New York. So I, finally made that leap. And I've just been able to meet so many cool people. I guess since now I'm performing, almost every other week in this new city. People are more able to access the performances. So I'm getting DMs, I'm getting, people coming up to me now that are already familiar with my track. So that feels really good. I definitely think it was a wise idea to kind of go where there's already, some motion with, my music going on, which it's the same in Florida, but I think it's always refreshing to try in a new city. So
How was the move? How was the experience of moving?
the move, it was such an anticipation for me because, getting all those final pieces together, it's never easy. It's like a tedious process, especially one state to a whole nother state. It's hours away. So, But luckily it worked out. Everything worked out for the best. I was able to actually only drive maybe 6 or 7 hours out of the 24 hours because I put my car on an auto train. So there's an auto train. It takes your vehicle from Florida to Virginia.
I
So
did not even know that existed.
it cut my travel a lot more than it has. So I definitely took advantage of that. I'm not, road tripping, especially I was alone with the travel. And my car was just packed, it was just packed to the teeth. So everything that I could take was in my vehicle, in my SUV with me.
So what do you do on the auto train? So your car's on the auto. Do you sit in your car, or like how does that work?
Everyone asks that same question. It's so funny. But you don't sit in your car, but your car is on an attached train. So there's the passenger train, which is the normal, Amtrak, and then there's an attached, I guess, bigger size train that is holding all of the passengers' vehicles on that one. So it's pretty much just attached to our train, and we're going on up to Virginia, and that was the experience. It was overnight, so it was like I would say maybe 15, 16 hour train ride. So it's pretty chill. Just kind of relax and look at the view outside the window.
So what you did is a practice run to come to Australia, is what you did. That's like a practice travel run because the flights are really long to get to Australia. So like just time wise, that's like a practice run because everyone says to me, they're like, I'd come to Australia, but it's just like far away. And trust me, we know.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I can knock out the majority of the travel, I think I can do it. It's just, it is long hours though. Have you ever came to America or the US?
Yeah. I went to Denver last year. I've been to Hawaii, but everyone's like, that doesn't really count. So I went to I went to Denver last year. But that was like took me close to 30 hours to get to Denver from Melbourne. So it wasn't one flight. Yeah. Yeah. So it took me, but like I'm used to it. I went to Europe a few weeks ago. So that's like another 20, 30 hours, like in total transit. So Australians are used to traveling. So when everyone's like, oh, it's so long, it's like, that's kind of,
because you have to travel to the country.
Yeah. It is so far. Like, yeah. Even like, because our country's so big and I'm down south, like to get anywhere is far away. So, yeah, like it is what it is. You kind of just suck it up. It's worth the travel, personally.
I'm definitely gonna visit Australia one day. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, be careful. We have a lot of people that come and never leave. So
really, is that awesome?
Yeah, it's really, really good. Like a lot of the people from the UK, they come and they stay. But we do have a few that go over to the UK. I think our weather is way better.
Okay.
Yeah. So
down under. Yes.
Down under.
Definitely, that's on my bucket list, 100%.
How has the travel been like while you're performing?
Honestly, it's been good. So with New York, what I really like about being here, compared to South Florida, is that it takes really a couple hours to be in a new state. And I've already had a performance in Philadelphia last month, which was really cool. I never performed in Philly yet. So, the crowd was amazing. And I just got to network and meet so many new people. And I have a performance coming up this upcoming Sunday in Connecticut. So I never performed in Connecticut. It's just been New York. I like it for that reason because I guess word either travels fast or things move really quickly. So I may perform this week and someone's at that performance knows the next person booking. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that's how I like it. And that was my goal coming here is hitting stages. Because the stage is really my home. It's really where I get it popping. So so I'm looking forward to that. I would say that's the highlight of being here is how easy it is to connect as well as travel to different cities and states. But with my car, parking is crazy. So that's another story. That's another topic. But
Well,
I like having a vehicle. I do prefer having a car here.
so do I. Like I am like I love driving. I love the feeling of driving, and that's like where I get a lot of my thinking done. Like thinking in the car is really good. It's like going
Yeah.
for a walk, but also listening to music is really good in the car because like
Yeah.
you're not distracted by anything. Like you're not on your phone. You're just like letting the I don't know. There's something about the car that really helps you zone in to whatever you're listening to.
I agree. Like especially when it comes to when I'm finalizing my mixes, that car, the speakers in my car are gonna tell me what I need to know for how I want my songs to sound before we put them out. So, there's I agree with that. Like it's a personal experience in its own. So even though I may take a few extra minutes looking for parking, I'm at peace and I'm in control. And the train is kind of a scary place.
Yeah, I've heard that the subway is interesting to say the least. Have you had
Yeah.
experiences on there?
So I'll tell you a quick experience. You know, I was on the bus this time around and I was actually staying in New York last month in July. I had like a miniature tour going on. And that's kind of what, motivated me to just make the move here. But during last July, I was leaving a venue, whatever the case. I didn't have a vehicle because it was just 1 month of me being here. So I was just taking the public transportation. So I'm on the bus with a friend and someone starts yelling at us and they just yelling at us because he wants to use my phone. And I'm like, oh no, sorry. Obviously it's someone that is not as, someone that's not put together, or someone that's unfortunate, is just an unfortunate position in their life. But no offense, I just didn't want to share my phone because I don't know the prices. So next thing you know, he's just yelling at us, cursing us out. The bus man had to stop the whole vehicle to calm him down because it was just big disruption. Big disruption, but I don't know. That experience was a bit traumatizing for me because I don't experience those kind of things in South Florida. So I was just
Yeah,
like,
I've never
oh,
experienced that. Like,
started cursing us out, like, fuck you, bitch. Like, oh my God, like, I didn't do anything. So luckily I wasn't alone. But you could imagine, like, I would never want to be alone in that situation. So I like my car.
no, that is scary for any human. Like any normal
Yeah,
person
and
would
it's,
be like,
it's it's late at night, and it was late at night too. It was dark, so it was just like,
and also
yeah,
like, because you're not in that headspace. Like you're on your way home, you're on the wind down, like you're just like trying to calm down, and then
right, right.
yeah, no,
I mean, it's an unpredictable city. It's so many different walks of life here. I do like that aspect, but you know, just some things you're not prepared for.
no. Now you're like, okay, I drive everywhere.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've taken a train yet. Like, yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, if you do, and I'm sure you will at some point take the train, like I'm sure you will have a lot of fun experiences. And I say
Right.
fun, jokingly, because I've never been, but I've heard a few stories of people on the subway. But have you noticed a huge difference between like what life is like in New York versus back home in Florida?
Definitely a huge difference. I would say the main differences is it's just like the outdoor areas, the lack of nature that I had in Miami. It was easily accessible when I was in Miami, Florida. Whereas now it's very, industrial city life. It's loud. My neighbors are loud. Everything's loud. The music is, on the block for hours, playing for hours. It's very cultural, and I'm not complaining, but it's just very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's weird to live in a place with no greenery, like with
Right. Right.
no parks and no. I think that's what I mean. I'm fortunate where I live. I have like parks around, and it's very easy to go to your
Yeah.
park. Like I literally have like 5 parks all around me, so you can
Right.
go to
I'm
whichever
sure
one.
there's nature all around you as well. Like there's trees and plants everywhere.
Well, there are some
But
streets that are awesome to like drive down and walk down because like the trees they meet in the middle. Like so it's
yes,
like
I
this really
love
cool, it's this beautiful canopy and you just get to walk down. It's like almost in a weird fairy tale or you're in this weird
that.
dream.
I love
Um
that.
so we have those streets around. And so then when you go to like a city that's so kind of metropolis, it feels
Yeah.
strange because you're like, hey, where's a park that I can go to just kind of breathe fresh air?
Mhm.
You kind
And
of, yeah, I think you take it for granted.
oh yeah, like that. I knew that would be a change, but I definitely, I'm looking forward to revisiting my hometown, going to the beach as soon as I step down. Like I definitely take it for granted. So, it's different for sure. We have parks here, but it's not the same. It's spread out. It's just like, yeah, they're very different.
Well, I'm sure you will continue to do great things in New York. I've heard
You.
it's the place of opportunity and it's the city that never sleeps. So you might be tired by the end, but I think it'll all be worth it.
It's definitely been showing me that it's worth it so far. It's been a journey. Really dope.
Can I ask you about you got the placement on Range Rover, the ad.
Yes.
I wanted to ask about that because that would be like Range Rover is obviously a massive brand. And then I watched the ad and it's with Anthony Joshua as well. And I was like, hold on a second. Who I recognize this face. But how was that experience of getting a song placed on, an iconic ad for Range Rover? Because it was their 50th it was their Jubilee, I believe, their Golden Jubilee anniversary.
Yeah.
But like, how was that as like an experience to get placement on what I would say is kind of a momentous occasion for a brand?
That moment was a crazy. I remember minding my business, just chilling at home. And it's funny because when it happened was right when the pandemic hit. I remember like there was announcements on the news. It was like, oh, everyone stay inside. We have to do this now, and everyone's kind of panicking. And I'm just like, okay, well, who knows what's about to happen? And then how I even found out about it was through a friend. So this was something that happened behind the scenes with my licensing that I didn't even really know it was confirmed till it was out. So,
Really?
yes, 100%. Like my friend sent it to me. He's like, "Your son's on this ad," and I was like, "What?" And that's when I was able to, check it out and see that it was, broadcasting as a commercial in UK. It was just such an amazing moment. I remember just sharing it with my family, and definitely, one of my biggest placements so far. And yeah, I don't know, like it was just really a moment of a blessed moment. I won't call it luck, but it just, I guess they felt it was the right track for that, ad and for their celebratory 50th anniversary. And it's crazy because I always wanted a Range Rover. Like that was always my dream car growing up. So I thought that was super, super amazing.
Well,
But shout out to Jerome. He's from New York. He's the one who actually sent me the ad.
did you get a Range Rover?
I'm sorry?
Did you get a Range Rover?
No.
Because low
Not
key,
yet. If
I was going to
only it
say,
was that easy.
I was just going to say they should have given you one as
That's
like,
what I'm saying. They should have given me one, right? But yeah, the way that one worked out, it's definitely one of my biggest placements, but it didn't arrange in a way where I got like the biggest payout from it, unfortunately, because it was through a licensing company that was non-exclusive. So,
well,
but
Range Rover, you slacking.
nonetheless, nevertheless, I was still very, very happy about that. Yeah, it
It's
definitely.
weird though that you didn't know about it until your friend told you about it. Like
Yeah.
it was just like it would have gone under the radar for, it could have gone under the radar for so long because
I
obviously
mean,
it's playing in the UK. So it may never have made it to the US. So like
right.
friends looking out.
I mean, yeah, because I don't know, like the way that it was exposed to me, it was such a crazy way. It was just super unexpected, and it was like I just broke up with my ex literally the day before, the day before, whose name was Aaron. Funny enough. Oh my
Good
god, I'm getting
omen.
right now. But that was just such a very gloomy time for me. So when I saw that, it was like, oh my God, life is great. There's no problems, no issues.
Well, I think that is like a good omen of like afterwards, like you break up and then you get really good news. That's like in life
Yeah,
where it's like it
yeah.
just shows you it's like weird timing. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, you know, our relationship here is ends and continues better than your last relationship with Aaron. I'm trying to
No,
overcome.
it definitely will. It definitely will. I think that, you know, definitely life has a way of showing you signs that you're on the right path. So,
Yeah, I I agree. I think it's like you just got to take those moments and just be like, oh, I'm doing the right things. Like, because have you felt like, especially over COVID, and you said like it was the beginning of the pandemic, and life for so many artists was a question mark because it's like, can I perform? Are people going to come out? Do I have all these restrictions?
yeah.
How can I record all these things? Like, how was it for you with regards to getting over that and not letting that doubt creep in?
It was definitely a mystery zone. It was just like a phase in my life and a lot of my friends' life at the time, where we were just having to get innovative and just kind of be patient. I think it was a patient game. But it's so funny because I was in at the time I lived with a few roommates and we lived in Little Haiti in Miami, and none of us had jobs. All of us were full time creatives, like inspiring one another with different ideas. And this was a very interesting time for us because we just were actually rebellious, and we threw an event like in the thick of it, maybe in June or like we threw an event in June and we threw an event in July. That was in our backyard, and we had an open space. And we were able to actually profit a bit towards to pay our rent, or you know what I'm saying, off of those things. And obviously it's a risk, but we were just like, effort, selling what's gonna happen, like, and I think that in a way we all kind of caught COVID-19. So it was like no one could run from it anyway. We all caught it. And yeah, I would say during that time, Florida, we weren't as locked down as other states. We definitely still had things open, and once again, we were trying to be innovative in different ways. But I don't know. I would say during that time, it was just a questionable time. It was a time of exploration and coming together. You know, I don't know. I don't even remember anymore. It was just it feels like it was just the twilight zone.
Yeah, I think we've all suppressed that time from our minds, like especially it's such a long period. But like it
Mhm.
is weird as like a full-time artist, and it's not like we're at Drake level, right? It's not like you're on the level of like, oh, you've
Yeah,
got a studio or whatever that's like paying all your bills. You're like still, you know,
right.
coming up and you're still getting better and you're still finding your lanes. And then for it to all be gone, it's
Yes,
like it must have
Drake was
driven you
having
because
ice cream.
it must have driven you to a point of like, hey, we kind of don't have a choice because we either make money to pay bills and like buy food, or we just like at some point get kicked out because like we're not paying rent and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's like this catch 22 where you're trying to do the right things, but at the end of the
Mhm.
day, like you do also have to survive.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, luckily there were certain grants for artists that I definitely took advantage of during the time. The Recording Academy had one going on that I qualified for. So there were things that I felt like during the pandemic, a lot of great resources came, to the surface for people like me. And we were just big on sharing it, extending it to one another, making sure it was in the know. So I think it brought out community, necessary community. Um, so you find out a lot during those moments.
I think the weird thing is that we forget is like how important people like you are to like the general economy and the way society works. Because
Oh,
like I think about it and I'm like, well, people come to your show, so they're buying tickets, but then they're potentially buying merch. And the amount of people that get employed because you've got a show on in terms of like security guards, the band, like the lighting people, the
right.
ushers, the bar. But then also,
Yeah.
like, if you go to a show, you're probably going to go with a couple of people. You might go for
Yeah.
drinks before, dinner before, and all of a sudden, like, you're actually helping a lot of people just because the event is on and people make a night of it and they're
Yeah.
actually like paying a lot of people's wages. So I always found this talk about like artists aren't really necessary as like this weird talk. Like we had a
Mm,
bit of that here where it's like, you know, you're just an
yeah.
artist, but at the same
I
time, like
think
y'all are
that's
important to
unfortunate to
society.
think of it that way because music is such a healing component. And I'm pretty sure there's certain songs that you couldn't see your life without, you know what I'm saying? Or there's a certain song that's a part of your childhood that definitely, molded you in a way or just holds that memory forever for you. So it's just like music to me is a priceless thing, but it's so valuable at the same time.
Yeah, it's so weird. We get obsessed with songs. Songs are like they're almost like transcend language. It's this weird
Yeah.
vibration that we listen to, and all of a sudden you don't have to speak the language, but it's a feeling you get from just the
Mhm.
sounds. And I'm sure you've got fans who are not from the US, who
Right.
English is not their first language, but they still listen to your music because it gives them
Right.
something.
Yeah, surprisingly had like a good amount of people in Brazil, listening. So, I don't know if they understand it, but shit, that's cool. Music is definitely universal. So, um, that aspect of it, is just profound.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
And I mean, you've got this unique style of like you're an R&B, hip hop, Afro beats. Like you've got all these
Yeah.
mixes of like different genres, and it's always cool to me to see how people blend the genres. Did you have an idea of how you would do that before you started, or was this something that kind of just naturally evolved from you being expressive?
I would definitely say naturally evolved from me being expressive. I feel like internally, like I could really sing. I could tap into many genres just because I know my capabilities and I kind of know, what I like to have fun with, what I could kind of like, execute. But I find that there's a sound that I feel most comfortable with, as well as most at home with, and that's neo soul. So soul, music, hip hop, that that cluster where it's just like it makes you bob your head. It feels like soul. Like that's me. That's like where my heart is. So, I think that my upcoming songs will be more they will definitely be more tailored to that niche. So songs like The Dome, songs like Dubai and P's and Q's are going to be more elevated in the sense of like genre. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the rest of the year and the songs that I'm about to like be releasing coming up and stuff like that. But you know, yeah, I like everything. I'm a Haitian girl, so I grew up with, Caribbean music. I grew up on reggae. Afrobeat to me is like a reggae's cousin. So it's just like everything is really under one roof with me at
So
the
was
same
your
time.
like home like a musical home? Like, do you remember like
Oh
growing up
yeah.
as a kid
I,
listening
I
to?
listen to everything. Whitney Houston, Phil Collins, Diana Ross. Like my mom, I'm a first generation born American. So she's from Haiti, but she had such a wide, she had a variety of sounds that she played in the house and in the car. So I listen to everything. I'm very hip to like different eras of music. And I'm blessed for that. I think when I was younger, I was like, put it on R&B, put it on rap. But I'm glad now that I'm older that I was exposed to those different things. Because now I'm playing it. I'm in my room singing Phil Collins, like so. Songs that just naturally are now invested in me. Just off of like me growing up on these songs.
Isn't it funny? Your parents' music is always uncool. It's never cool because of purely your parents listening to it. Like, even
Right.
if it's the coolest shit, like I'm imagining myself like with future kids and then me going like, hey, check out this gangster rap that I
Yeah.
love. This is like these albums that like made my life. And they're gonna be like, Dad, like you're an old man, you're in your 50s, you're in your 60s, and you're listening to like
This is
Big
lame.
Pun, 50 Cent, like all these people who like just
Right.
made like going back and going like check out Biggie, and they can
Right.
be, and by like that time, like because obviously Biggie died in the 90s, but like I'm
Yeah.
almost 30, so by the time I'm 60, Biggie would have been dead for like 70 years, which is like 60, 70 years. Like it's kind of crazy that like I'll be like, hey, listen to this music from like 60 years ago. That
Right. I mean,
is
I
the
don't think of
best.
it that way, but you're right. Like that's so true. Music is lifelong, and that it is crazy. Like time is moving so fast, so before we know it, those songs are going to be decades old, and still sounding fresh and like new to us. And then and who knows what the future generations. I would hope that they recognize quality music. you know? I would
I
hope that
still
they recognize it.
I still find it a trip that people were born after the 90s. Like there are people born from 2000 plus.
I know, and they're like
23
adults
now.
now.
Yeah. It's
Yo, yeah, it's trippy. Like my little cousin, like she's a grown girl. She's grown now, so it's just time is flying for real. And you almost never think of it too much because you just feel like, okay, we're always gonna be here, but we're not. you know, Life is a blink of an eye, yo.
and I saw a post on I think it was like Instagram, and it was like, you know, my daughter or whatever, someone says something really upsetting to me that was like, you were born in the late 1900s. And it's like, that's very upsetting to think of it like that.
Oh wow, they really trying to make it sound like some medieval times and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to stop. They need to stop. Relax.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, okay, that's enough of the internet today.
That's
That's
enough.
yeah.
Stop. But yo, like we're gonna be around 2040. I don't even like hearing those years just sound crazy. 2052. Like
Yeah. I,
it
I
doesn't even sound. It sounds crazy.
even 2023 sounded crazy. I remember like being young and being like, oh, 2010, like is just like this the first so far away.
Right. They're supposed to be flying cars now. Like that was supposed to be planned.
Yeah. Actually, Range Rover, now speaking of, get those flying cars going. What the hell is going on? I remember,
They started it.
oh, I don't know. I doubt it because I mean, I agree with you. I remember reading like books as a kid and be like, flying cars are around the corner or whatever. I don't maybe
Mhm.
it wasn't exactly a true scientific book, but yeah, I don't think they'll let
And
us in the
the
sky.
sitcoms. Remember the sitcoms? They would like have those episodes where they're fast forward to 2020, and it's just like the future. Everyone's in like silver clothes. It was just all wrong.
Yeah. Although apparently The Simpsons gets a lot of predictions right.
That's creepy. Now, if we go down that rabbit hole, it's a whole nother like really psyche. Like I don't even know. Whoever's writing that show is a fucking psychic. Like no doubt.
Yeah, I feel like there is like underground like theories, like some deep dark theories. But yeah, there are a lot of coincidences with The Simpsons. So
I don't think they're coincidences. Like it's
okay,
deep stuff there. Because what? That there's too much. It's just way too much to like unravel type shit.
I can tell that you've already gone down a rabbit hole with this. Like,
I mean, I've definitely, brushed up on different conspiracy theories. So I wouldn't say I am a conspiracy theorist, to the extreme at all, but I don't know. This world is filled with so much mystery. I really don't put nothing past that. So I just think that I keep my mind open because it's really anything's possible.
do you have a favorite conspiracy theory?
Uh, oh my God, there's one that I'm a little ashamed that I used to believe. Oh my God, I used to think that Will I Am killed Biggie. Like there was this song on YouTube. I don't know if you were ever in these like YouTube rabbit hole, Illuminati shits, but they used to play the song backwards. This Will I Am song that he has, I think it's called "I'm a Star," like a star, or some shit like that. And YouTube plays it past backwards, and they're like, it says "I kill Biggie, I kill Biggie." Like it's so creepy. I'm like, I remember watching it and just having chills up my spine, and like, he's a murderer. I'm like, well, why would he want to kill Biggie? I just never understood it, but I guess they're both from New York. Like I didn't understand it, and that was something. Illuminati was a big thing at one point that I was like, oh my God, all these celebrities are such and such. But at the same time, I don't know. There could very well still be weird things in Hollywood. And I know there's obviously weird things going on in Hollywood with all of these court cases, but just even beyond that, I don't know.
Well, apparently, like in Beyonce's music, there's like heaps of like demonic like
Yeah,
imagery, like in music
yeah.
videos and shows and stages, like that they constantly, I feel like constantly this stuff comes out of like, there's those themes are always around the images and the kind of poses that are taken. Yeah.
Well, I definitely feel like Beyonce is always going to be targeted because she's one of the biggest, one of the biggest artists of our time. And I used to feed into it a bit with the Illuminati, being a big topic of discussion back in the day. But I'm a Beyonce fan, so I love Beyonce. I'm going to her concert in August. Like to me, she is like the female Michael Jackson. So I'm blessed to have even just witnessed an artist like her, in my life, in my lifetime. So she's just a hardworking woman, and I don't think anyone should get, attacked and targeted for that. She's very hardworking.
Well,
So
I agree. She definitely is very hardworking. As for the other stuff, I have no idea. But I heard a cool kind of conspiracy theory that birds are not real. They're all fake and that they watch us all the time. That's like a really, if you
oh my
believe
God,
that one, that one's like the scary one to believe.
that's creepy.
Yeah.
I actually did definitely run across that one. I know that there's certain things with 5G and fake weather and just so many different elements of like what is being controlled, by the reptilians. I don't know, like who's controlling these things? Why? Like, is was coronavirus real? Like, I don't know. Is the virus? I don't know. There's so many questions, but I do think that you really have to follow your own intuition. Each and every person has our own internal, intuition, and what's right for you is right for you. And I really do believe in nurturing that. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And I also think you shouldn't get too wrapped up in these conspiracy theories because they're conspiracy for a reason. And some always inevitably become like you realize are true, but there's so many that are just straight up wrong. And like it starts to mess with your mind a little bit because you start to like confirmation bias, like you start to look for things to confirm what you believe, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah, it could definitely consume you if you allow it. So, I don't necessarily allow it. I think that way too much that I gotta get done in my life before, it consumes me to that extent. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And then hopefully our fans and your fans don't get consumed with your conspiracy theory and start going like, will.i.am totally did it. Like
Hopefully not, y'all. I don't know who did it. I'm not a detective.
That's so funny. Um, yeah, something I did want to ask you is like something I read and kind of like a sad part of your story was you losing your father quite early in life.
Mhm.
How did that impact your journey in terms of like growing up and then obviously the creative side of you?
Well, I would definitely say growing up, it was just me and my mother. I'm an only child. So being that I'm first generation Haitian-American here, he came here for a few months for the first time. He was very happy about it. And he was unfortunately in the wrong place, wrong time, and was in a gun robbery. So I think about it in a way that life is short. You never know when it is your time. Like you really never know. That's something that kind of I think subconsciously stuck with me in the back of my mind. And because of that, I felt as if, what I want to do, I'm going to do it. Like however I feel I want to express myself or what I feel makes me happy while I am here. I felt usually really passionate about putting effort towards whatever that may be. So I would say it's definitely motivated me in that way. I think that, being that he passed at 33, which I also think is really interesting. He was only also in the States for 3 months. I was 3 years old when he passed. So the number three seems to have a significance with that tragedy. But I know for a fact he's, with me spiritually, protecting me in ways that I don't know and I can't see. So I do, because of that experience, I've grown a spiritual relationship and just an awakening of my own to realize that we can still have relationships outside of, physical reality. So, it's showing me things in different ways. I definitely think the biggest thing though would be to live your life to the fullest because you just never know. And I definitely expect and pray I have a long life, but I just want to be, one day look back and say, I did that. So, I did what I wanted to do. I put all my energy and did my best. So, if anything, that's my motivation right there. And, just to give my mother and I a better life, my family a better life. And, just, yeah.
Well, I have
I
to
think,
say, you
thanks.
have a fantastic energy, like
Oh,
super smiley, super just happy and genuine, and just like enjoy every moment. So when you were talking about that, that was like that genuinely has been coming through the whole
oh.
time we've been talking. So you can definitely feel that. But then I rudely cut you off and you were about to say something else. So I'm gonna
No, you're good. You actually did not cut me off. I believe I was at the end of my statement, but yeah, I appreciate that. It's a lot of thank yous to my mother because even though she had a obviously tragic loss of her own, being now an only but widowed mother, she showed nothing but joy while I was growing up. She's a very very joyous person. She is full of light herself. So kudos to my mom and my team whenever she sees it. So she'll see it. She's also very giggly, full of smiles. So I think that she, saw the glass as half full and instilled a lot of beautiful those things in me and grounding things in me. So yeah,
because how old was your mum when that happened?
she was also 33. So they they were raising me, and they were kind of back and forth. My mom was back and forth from the U.S. and Haiti, and so when it comes to that, you have to get a visa in order to come into the States. So when I thought my dad finally was able to visit here for the first time, he was also kind of like had a lot of adrenaline. So he had a motorcycle, like he was kind of like a bad boy. So he was just ready to rock and roll type of thing. It was cut short, but I definitely think his spirit lives through me in many ways. I am an adventurous person. I'm definitely here for the adrenaline rushes of life. So, I don't take those things for granted for sure.
That does make me ask though, what adrenaline activities have you done? Have you got like
Yeah.
ones that stand out? It's like your favorite ones.
So a few of them include just me jumping off of cliffs. Right?
Oh, that
You know,
sounds so safe.
yes. What was the craziest thing? I feel like I have a crazy one. I don't know if it's too crazy, but like I went to Jamaica last year, and there's this really high cliff that tourists I guess jump off of, and you jump into the river, a really cold river, and everyone that I was with, and most people, they'll put on a life jacket because it's a strong river. I was like, nah, f that. I'm the life jacket. I can swim. I'll be fine. So I jumped off of that, and it definitely took me a minute to get back up because when you jump, obviously the gravity pulls you
Yeah.
really into the water, and I don't know how deep that water was. I didn't feel the floor. So, but I like those kind of things just because I like to challenge myself. I like to challenge my body. I like to see, the capacities I could go. And once I got to the surface, it was just even more dramatic because the waves are hitting you hard. Like, but I'm here today, so we're good.
Well, I'm with you. I wouldn't have gone with a life jacket either. Like I'm
Yes,
a confident swimmer, so I've
yes.
always been kind of like, and the life jacket kind of ruins the vibe. Like
Yeah,
it's not
it
the
takes away the
same.
natural element of the experience.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
then you're like in this thing, it's so big, and you're like stuck in it. And no, no, I like to have my arms free. So I'm with you. It may not be the safest or the smartest choice, but like it is the
Right,
if you're gonna do it, like you might as well do it. You know what I mean?
right,
Yeah.
right, right. And they'll have people on the sidelines making sure you're not drowning, and so they gotta have that. So I always feel like, what are the chances? I'll be all right. You know.
Although I am scared of heights, so I'm not great
Yeah,
with
it was
heights.
really high. It was really, really high. I'm
You
usually the
know,
first one to volunteer to jump. Like, yeah, I don't
yeah,
hesitate.
yeah. No, I don't deal with heights very well, but I have gone skydiving a couple of times, and that is
Okay.
awesome. It is
I,
so
I haven't
good.
done that yet.
It
See?
is really,
That's
really good.
better than me. Like that right there is a risk. That to me is an adrenaline rush. And
It is. It makes you feel genuinely when you're like alive. You're like
mhm,
the first time I went, I thought I was the dumbest person. Like, because you hang out of the plane, the way they do it is like because the person you're strapped to, they sit on the edge, and you're just like hanging out. And then
mhm,
like when that was happening and the wind is like rushing past your face, I was
yeah.
just like, I'm so stupid. Like I'm the dumbest human alive. And then but once you do it, the feeling is so good. You have to get out of the fear and then realize what you're experiencing. And it's
Yeah.
awesome. It is
You're
just so good.
flying. Is what you're
Literally.
doing.
Well, some would say that you're falling, but
Oh my God. No, that's amazing. Like, I can't wait to do that. Yeah, I mean, more power to you for doing it twice, yo.
yeah, well, we did it for my mum's 50th one year.
Oh my
Yeah, as
God.
a family, we did it
That
with
is
my mum.
that is quite a gift.
Yeah.
That's your
Well,
mom jumped out of the plane?
yeah, she did. I asked her, we said to her, like, Mum, you've always said that you would. And so
Hmm.
we're like, before we buy the gift and before we get tickets for everybody, if we
Yeah.
buy it, will you actually do it? Like, a
Yeah.
serious question. Because if you won't, we'll get you something else. It's not a problem. And so she
Yeah.
was like, no, I'll do it. And so she did it. She, yeah, she loved it.
So she's a real one for that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Good
Yeah.
for her. That's awesome.
And whitewater rafting is one of my favorites as well, like
Okay,
going down
that's
the
awesome.
rivers and stuff.
Yes, yes, that sounds so much fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to trade like adventure stuff. Like I used to be really safe as a kid. Like I didn't like getting doing those like, but now I've realized I love roller coasters. I love that adrenaline rush of
Yeah.
like a little bit of fear.
I feel that. It's like it gives you the reminder you're alive, you know.
I feel like that's probably why you like performing because a lot of
Mhm.
people that's their biggest fear in life is being on stage.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it can be scary. It's a lot of anxiety right before getting on stage, especially like depending how big the crowd is. Like it can be scary. Like, yeah.
Because
But I like to challenge myself. So
do people ask you like, do you like I don't know how you do it. Like, do they ask you how do you do it and do you feel nervous? Because
oh yeah. I get that asked a lot. I typically don't even feel nerves up until right before I'm getting on the stage. So like moments before that, or like, if it's an hour or two before that, I'm chilling. I may have a drink in my hand just to get the ease, get the edge off of it. Um, and I usually don't really have appetite on performance days, so I might just have fruit that day. It isn't until after I get off stage and then I get eat like a cow. But yeah, I've been performing so much now that it really hits me too. Like a minute before I get on stage is when it hits me now. So
I feel you. I'm like that as well. I like public speaking and I like performing. Like I used to do improv and I did like drama in high school and theater and all that kind of stuff.
nice.
But it was like the same thing. It doesn't matter how well I know what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah,
always going to be nervous until like I start. The start is the hardest. And then once you're in it, you're in it. You're just living it and you're just kind of working your way through it. But yeah, the start is the worst. And then when you get announced, that sucks just waiting in the wings. And then they're like, and you're just like, oh, I just want this. I want to hurry up and let me get out there so that I can
yeah, hurry
get this
up.
done.
Oh, yes, trust me. It's always a relief. A relief.
I think I'm like you. I don't like to eat before I perform. I don't like to eat before I podcast. Like there's something about I have always felt like heavy, which is weird. I don't know. It feels weird to be digesting and to be like eating. It's like this
Too
weird
much
place.
work for my body.
Yeah, it's in my own head. It's definitely in my own head, but like it just makes me feel better. I feel almost like lighter on my feet, and lighter mentally to be able to like jump and do this and like be able to just go with the flow.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, sorry.
What an exciting conversation you must be having.
Yes, not eating.
Well, I actually have only one more question for you, and it's probably the toughest question that I've asked you so far. It's the only question that I plan on the show. But if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once to get an appreciation of, can be any genre of music, cannot be your own music, what would it be?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Maybe I'll straight through. I would recommend. I would recommend. The first album that comes to mind is the Aaliyah, the self-titled Aaliyah album. Um, that's when she was still collaborating with Timbaland and Missy, and that was her latest project that she put out before her passing. And I think that the elements of that album and the evolution of her sound in that late album was truly a masterpiece. I think that she, for her all in that latest project, the different productions, the tones that she had in each different song, like I'm a big fan. I actually share a birthday with Aaliyah as well, January 16th.
Oh,
And
awesome.
yeah, that's my answer. I love her, and that album used to be on repeat for me for many young years of my life.
Well, I love that answer. And you and I have very similar birthdays. I'm the 5th of January. So,
Oh my God,
yeah, are you
Capricorn!
Capricorn? Yeah.
Oh my God, makes sense now. Your vibes are real.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, because I'm not hugely into that world, but I know a little bit about Capricorns, like notoriously stubborn, hard headed, but
Yeah.
ground. That's kind of like probably what it is. Do you identify with like the Capricorn
Yes,
signage?
I do. Capricorns are typically known to place a lot of their energy into their work and their career, and I definitely relate to that. That's like one of my biggest priorities, and you know, I also have different planets. I'm a Gemini moon. I'm a Cancer rising, so I also resonate in those elements too. I'm very goofy, like Geminis are. I'm also nurturing like Cancers are. So it's like kind of a cool mix of different elements. But I'm a Capricorn, to the T. I love what I do. I'm ambitious. I'm big on family, big on quality time with my loved ones, and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
because I definitely meet people and like actually do you, I was going to ask you this and then a transition, but I am going to ask you this. Are there signs that you're like you just don't vibe with very well?
I usually think that every sign kind of defines themselves. Like everyone defines their sign differently. I like to think of it that way. I don't like to box people in too much, but I will say that I don't know. I don't even want to pinpoint a sign because I fuck with all the signs. But I think Leo dudes, for whatever reason, we don't really click, beyond, I would say, friendship. I don't know if that'll bite me in the butt later, but I don't know. It's never been a smooth sailing with Leo dudes because we both strong minded. Like that's how it be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it's weird because like I've been looking at my relationships as well and like
yeah.
what goes wrong in them and like why I'm still single, all those kinds of stuff. And it's always like oh, I think the hard part of being a Capricorn is because you're so motivated and you're so like
Mhm.
driven that like
Yeah.
not being with someone who's driven is difficult. But then
It's a
when
turn
you're
off.
with it really is. It
Yeah.
really is. It's like it's quite difficult because you're like, I'm doing X, Y, Z, I'm hustling, I'm trying to I have all these goals that I want to do. And then you're with someone who has no ambition or the ambition just doesn't match your ambition. And you're like, yeah, this will
Right.
never work because it's gonna drive me
Have to be
crazy.
selective as a Capricorn. That's why we're picky because I think we do bring a lot to the table. So it's like you gotta be picky when you work the way you do. So it's like I'm not mad at that though.
My
And
mum has definitely said like, Aaron, the woman who you end up with, like, she's gonna have to like deal with number one, your shit. So like she's gonna have like a thick skin, but also like she's gonna have to have her own stuff going on. Cause that it's weird. Like I want someone who's like independent, but also kind of like is mature in the relationship and like you're not on two different paths. It's yeah, we're
yeah.
heading down this therapy a rabbit hole now of like relationships.
Oh, I mean, shit. It's okay. We all deal with it.
Yeah.
We all
No,
deal
no.
with it. Yeah.
It is fun. I mean, it's part of like the journey of it. But like, yeah, it's weird what goes into them. And like, I mean, you mentioned you're obviously failed relationship with previous Aaron. So maybe it's just the namesake, but um we'll all find it's all on the journey and like there's no right way or wrong way to do it, I think.
Exactly. Like life is still super unpredictable, and I like to keep it optimistic and just yeah, what's for me is for me. What's for you is for you, and it's gonna be, and it's gonna be okay.
I love that. And what I can guarantee for the fans that is for them is the one and only Dyna Edyne. I remembered to get the name
Dyna Edyne.
Dyna Edyne. See, I fucked it up. I knew I would. I knew I
Oh
was
my God, okay.
guaranteed. At least I know I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm going to make those mistakes. But Soft Era
Yes.
EP just came out. You've got the music videos. You've got the Mahogany project that has been out for a while now that everyone can go back to. And you've got music videos, YouTube videos. So please make sure show us some love. And you'll see her on IG as Tree Woman as well.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, give her a follow. Obviously, show support. And if you're in the States and in New York, go to her shows as well. They're guaranteed to be
Yes.
absolutely fantastic. But is there anything else you wanted to plug? Is there anything you wanted to shout out before we wrap up?
Just shout out to everyone that is supporting me right now. I'm super excited for what's to come. I will definitely have my up and coming shows more organized, so you guys could see where you can make it. I'd love for y'all to come out. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was definitely a cool conversation with my fellow Capricorn.
Awesome. My pleasure.